見えないもつせ追い込んだミッドナイト、ヒールの音だけが響くシティライツ、誰かのために消すリソース、君の心拍数食わせノイズ、完璧主義なそのループを抜けて、今日はもう全部オフにして深呼吸して、ここから先はチクタク止めて Unwind、 はい詰めた糸を Rewind、 君のままでいいんだよ No no fake no more cry、 夜に溶かしてくシュガースパイス、ただ甘やかし Unwind tonight、 Unwind it drop it down drop it down、 Rewind it slow it down slow it down、 アラーム設定は解除して、2日目のスクロールのストップスカスカ、ため息な数はカウントダウン、ここからは君だけのクラウン、誰の目も気にしない 2am、 ままい香りに包まれる意見、
窓に口にちょっとだけ黙ってた、本当は何か言いたかった、でもその空気の中で言葉がほどけて消えた、君は窓の外を見てた、私はコーヒーを濁した、お互い何にも言わずに時間だけが進んでた、ちょっとだけ黙ってた、ここそれが全てを物語ってた、嘘をつくより静けさを選んだ私たちの答え、そばにいることが何よりの答えになってたって言えたらよかったけど、本当は怖かったんだ、テレビの音が虚しくて、君の後ろ姿が今もその気持ちをうまく切り取れないまま、ちょっとだけ黙ってた、ここあれが始まりか週末か、答えのない静けさに何かを預けた気がした、知らないふりをしたまま分かってたのに何も言わず、それが優しさなら少し悲しかった、ちょっとだけ黙ってた、お互いがお互いを避けた、それでもあの光の中でまだつながってたのかもしれない、またスマホをちらっと見てはそらした、知らないメールばかりちょっと分かってた、忙しいって言葉もなんか疲れた、好きって言いながらすれ違うばっかり、スマホを見ないふりをして、君に今日も気づかれたくて、 てる自分にもっと疲れてた。何かが変わったのに口に出せない二人。変な優しさだけ残していく君。スマホを見ないふりをして信じたいって思ってた。でも本当はもう受け取ってた。夜の答え悲しさって声にしない言葉。その間に全部沈んでゆく。スマホを見ないふりをして何もなかったように笑ってた。だけど知ってた。もう君は遠くに
What the
い
fuck?
る
Chat cargan B.
って。スマホのワームは特になってたけどわざと無視した。待ち合わせの場所にはまだ行きたくなかった。遅れるってメッセージ打ったけど送らなかった。君に会う自信が今日はなかった。だけわざと遅刻した待ち合わせなんてことないふりをして君の顔見たらちょっと後ろめたくなった。でもそれでいいと思った。駅前のコンビニで時間を潰した。見られたら嫌だったから後ろの通りに抜けた。別に嫌いになったわけじゃない。ただ少し離れてみたかった。好きって言葉ほど難しいものは
Biar 6 semua ya.
わざと遅
Gak apa-apa.
刻した待ち合わせ自分から引いてみた。二人遠くから見える君は優しくてでも少し怖かった。嘘じゃない本当の気持ちほどうまく言えないのが私なんだよ。わざと遅刻した待ち合わせ君は何も聞かずに笑った。その笑顔に救われた。でもそれも少し痛かった。
Hah? Oh, jauhan.
今日は珍しくまっすぐ帰ったのに鏡の中になんかいない気分。窓に映る影が私よ。 私の影が先に帰った置いて行かれたのはこっちの方で笑ってる場所がなかった特に何があったわけじゃないけど洗濯物が少し曲がって干してあるだけで胸が詰まる影は笑わないし疲れたとも言わないそれがなんか羨ましかった私の影が先に帰った心の一部が先に家に着いてコーヒー入れてたみたい優しくされても気づかれないそんな日が続いただけの話私の影が先に帰ったちょうど同じソファーで座ったまま自分とうまく話せない何も言わずに少し部屋を抜けた君はそれに気づかずスマホの中潜ってたお互いの相槌も最近は濁ってるどうでもいいって言葉が頭をよぎった静かに嫌いになる準備一言も言わずにできるんだ好きの先には嘘じゃないさめざめがあるコンビニのレシートに2人分の連続でも何かがもう違うって知ってた本当に大切なら怒ると思うでもないしてももう怒らない自分がいた静かに嫌いになる準備また寝て言わないことから心配もせずに過ぎるその静けさが答えだった泣いたわけじゃない諦め ために君がいなくても夜が過ぎるようにこの交差点間違いなく君を思い出す隣に並んで超熱いねって言った日多分何にも変わらない街並みなのになんでこんなに記憶が動き出すんだろう交差点を渡るたび君の横顔がよみがえる信号の青がまた心を焦らせる空の色も空気の匂いも同じなのに違うのは隣に君がいないことだけすれ違う人たちにちょっと期待してしまうそんな自分がまだ少し恨めし交差点を渡るたびどうしても振り返ってしまうでも今はそれも悪くないって思う ちでもそれも次の僕で消せる気がした洗濯物の匂いやけに気になる日多分今が一番君を思い出すアイスティーに浮かんだ声を何かを知りたくて座ってたでも別にいいなって思ったスクランブルの中でふと目が合ったあの時周りの音がすっと遠く 時が止まったまるで映画のワンシーンみたい心が踊る音もなく君が映ってた片方のイヤホンで聴いてたラブソングが少しだけ違って聞こえてきたのはなぜあれから何もないけど君のこと知ってるみたい出会いってきっとこういうことかもうねほんの一瞬だけ時が止まったうまく言えないけど確かで
Emerald Kaizo is known as the hardest Pokemon ROM hack if you actually choose to hardcore Nuzlocke it. But this video is going to try and show that anyone can Nuzlocke Emerald Kaizo with a little bit of patience, game knowledge, and ability to utilize resources. This game has been broken down to where we know exactly how the AI behaves, how Switch AI works, what encounters to go for, and what strats to use. And we're going to attempt to touch on all these aspects in this video. This video will be assuming we're playing with hardcore Nuzlocke rules, meaning we can't overlevel the next gym, we get one encounter per met location, no items in battle, and we play on set mode. To start, let's talk about the resources I suggest you use while Nuzlocking Emerald Kaizo. First of all, there are great documents for this game. A master sheet with all the wild encounters, trainers, and heart skill locations, learn set doc, and a move changes doc. Additionally, there is a special version of EK Hex called EK Hex that you can use without changing the ROM hack changes to your Pokemon. It also allows you to pre-status your Pokemon, which is important for pre-damage, and through EK Hex you can export your Pokemon sets to the Emerald Kaizo Showdown damage calculator. A great source with all the trainer Pokemon and movesets to see how much damage you deal and take. And a bait sheet to tell you what Pokemon comes in next in the trainer order, though I'll explain how Switch AI works in a bit. The last thing you need, of course, is Emerald Kaizo. I'll link to the game patch in the description, but additionally, I'll link another patch that gives you 255 berries from every plant, makes fishing easier, and has other quality of life functions. All these will be the top link in the description. Now here's a list of all the major boss fights and the splits that go with them, ranked in chronological order and with the difficulty relative to the others. I had some second thoughts about Norman being easier than Shown and Roxanne and Brawley maybe a little tougher than their scores Showns, with them being a little bit more RNG dependent, so take this with a grain of salt. I know this might look overwhelming right now, but we're going to break down every split to give you a good understanding of how to conquer each one. But before we start the game, let's give a quick crash course on how the AI works. A full document with everything will be linked in the description, but the most you need to know is this. The AI will usually always go for its highest damaging move. If it sees kill with multiple moves, it will randomly select one that kills. If the AI doesn't see a kill and has a status move or non-damaging move, it is equal chance to go for highest damage or non-attacking moves. If you are faster than the AI and the AI has a speed lowering move like Rock Tomb or Thunder Wave, it will almost always go for that move if it doesn't see a kill. If the AI has an immunity to a spread move in a duel battle, for example, a flying or levitating partner has a move Earthquake, it will give Earthquake or the spread move +2 score, meaning it will have an equal chance to go for it over highest damage. If the AI has an ability that will benefit from its partner's moves such as Skill Swap on Slacking or Toxic on its Guts partner, it will always go for that move even if it sees a kill. If the AI sees a kill with a priority move, it will always go for it. If you went after your opponent the previous turn and the AI has a resist or immunity in the back, it will have a 50% chance of switching out the next turn. If the AI is slower and has a recovery move, it's about 50% chance of using that move, but if it sees a kill or is faster, it will not use the recovery move. The AI will have around a 10% chance to go for Boom at 80% HP or higher, about a 50% chance below half, and 95% below 30%. Not sure if those numbers are correct, but close enough. And this is just general AI behavior. There's a lot more to cover. I'll link a doc in the description for full AI behavior, but those are the basics. And lastly, before we get into the guide, let's talk about what the AI switches in after you kill. I did link a bait sheet down below, but basically how it works is, it switches in a Pokemon with a super effective move with the worst defensive type matchup against you. If there's a tie, then it looks at team order among the super effective. Then it looks at super effective non-damaging moves. And lastly, it will look at the move type matching the Mon that just died. When starting Emerald Kaizo, the first major decision the player makes is the starter choice. Starting with Trico, it uniquely has a very powerful fast grass stab. It's a huge buff from Overgrow, allowing it to sweep a lot of fights, and is amazing for Weather Institute, Aqua Hideout, and Rain Splits. You generally want hasty or naive natures, but modest, timid, rash are all pretty good. IVs also matter a lot. Next is Torchic, who has insanely powerful stab moves and has a great type combination. It's specifically good for Elite Four, Flannery, and Magma Hideout, and gets a great move pool. Blaziken's stats are a bit more crucial, needing neutral speed 29 IV or plus speed nature 12 IV to outspeed Steven's Jirachi, and 31 IV neutral special attack to have a 15 out of 16 range, or plus special attack nature 10 IV to kill Steven's Jirachi. This value on the Elite Four, however, is insanely good as you kill the very scary Metagross and Jirachi back to back on the champion fight, though Blaziken is still great even without those stats. The consensus among Emerald Kaizo players is that these two are the best. Mudkip is overall decent, but doesn't have any outstanding uses, plus the player almost always gets a Whiscash. I definitely oversimplified the uses of these starters, but we'll explain more about these later. The game starts off with a pretty tough gym leader that you're going to need to be ready for right off the bat. You get your starter and access to routes 102, 103, Odell, and Little Root. Odo Town being a fire type with Slugma and Numel being the best, and Growlithe, Ponyta, Charmander, and Cyndaquil being good fire types, but won't help you much early game. Aside from Ponyta getting double kicked before Roxanne, if you want the most consistent early game, Magcargo is the way to go, as there are few things that actually beat the league. 1-2 Grass has some good stuff, and Electrike, Ralts, Sandshrew, and others, but another thing you can do is fish for Carvanha or Barboach, two Pokemon that are very useful later on. 103 Grass has some great stuff with some Flora trivializing early game, Tailo being a monster sweeper, Sparrow being a Brawly sweeper, and Ekans, Mareep, Poliwag, and Splunk being decent. You technically get your starter on Route 101, so we will skip this encounter. Does mean we can get our Little Root encounter though. For new players, it's recommended to go for Luvdisc, as it's a great fast charmer for Roxanne and Brawly. Though you can get Goldeen, who is okay for Brawly and a good dupe, but not amazing overall. For more experienced players, delaying Little Root is an amazing strategy, as you can get a much needed dark type in Crawdaunt, great water fighting type in Poliwrath, or an insane Pokemon past Norman and Feraligatr, though it's 50-50 could be Battle Armor. After getting all these encounters, the player can move through Route 102. It's completely safe to be level 10 or 11 here. Then in Petalburg City, it's recommended to fish for Azurill, who is amazing for Roxanne and Brawly. You also get your first berries. Technically, you have an unlimited resource of planting and harvesting, so most players hack in unlimited of these available berries. On Route 104, you always fish to get a Magikarp. This will be important for Brawly in many parts of the game. Make sure you are checking the Master Sheet to know when to pick up Heart Skills, as you only get 20 of them in the game and they're used to relearn moves. Petalburg Woods has some amazing Pokemon, some being Phanpy, Bellsprout, Pineco, Illumise, Mankey, and Slakoth. You will soon get to a Magma Grunt where leading your fire type, flipping berries, and having general strategies for is a good idea. We already got Magikarp on 104, so after getting some berries and the Bullet CTM, we can continue to fight two simple trainers, then get to a Smeargle double battle. If you have a spread move like Swift or Acid, that is fantastic here to ruin their gimmick. If not, try to use some bulky stuff to take Focus Punch. This brings us to Red. Meryl or Luvdisc Charmer Lee is good here, with the rest being mainly type matchup based. We can then get Chesto Berries and head north to Route 115 and fish for Kabuto or Omnite, both being great for Roxanne and amazing for the rest of the game. Battle Armor on both being the far superior ability. We can also get a Route 116 encounter with just about everything here being good. For the Rustboro City encounter, you can delay this until after Flannery for Armaldo, but it's suggested to grab a grass type, especially if you pick Trico. You do have the option of fighting a dozen trainers to get the Rusturf Tunnel encounter, but that makes EXP very tight, and I suggest delaying this for now. Trico has a great time getting multiple kills, but watch the EXP, you can see how much you will gain from the little plus number on the side of the Pokemon from the Master Sheet. One major thing is Grovyle can kill 3 back-to-back-to-back on Hiker Mark, just be careful of overleveling. Couple big threats in this gym are Josh's Sudowoodo, Tammy's Raihori Yama, and Mark's Baltoy. Roxanne can be a tough gym leader,
is
especially
full
if you
AP
have a great
crystal.
box for it. First thing to find is something that 2 shots of nose pass. Since you are most likely
Hello
faster,
Aldi,
the
how are
nose
you?
pass will
Good
stimulate
morning.
you, getting rid of your cherry berry, then you use a stronger move to kill. Some examples are double kick into Bullet Tea with Grovile, Seismic Toss into double kick with Combuskin, or Rock Tomb into Ball Beam with Almond. Though using something like Grovile means you don't have a Chesto Berry for Lunatone. Speaking of which, you're gonna need a Lunatone answer. Grovile works well, but you're probably gonna have to play pretty risky into it. Stuff like Carvana, Sunflora, Luvdisc, Dunsparce can work well. Charming Lunatone is the best thing you can do, and make sure to have Chesto Berries equipped, and other grass or water types are probably your best bet. Torchic starters will struggle against this. The other big thing you need an answer for is Magcargo is usually the best. You should learn Rock Tomb if you're slower. A Will-O-Wisp and Recover Stall does the trick. Other counters include grass/poison types or things like Makuhita. Toxic Stalling is great here. Combuskin starters are also great here. After Nose Pass kill, you get a kill on a leap that comes in next. Then Shuckle is generally easily beamed by Meryl or Luvdisc. After some charming, you can reposition. Anorith is almost always countered by Kabuto or Ammonite, and Relicanth is killed by Grass. Here are some examples of some Roxanne teams. Next, we go to Route 116, get the Tunnel encounter. Most rock types are good here. Fight at Grunts, and head to Dewford. On 106, you should get a Seal, very solid Mon, especially for Watts and Pivot. On 107, you can get a Clamperl. Only experienced players with great Brawly teams should delay this for Sheldon. In Dewford City, we get a fighting type. Makuhita is very solid. Mankey can be fantastic if you have 17 speed and 17 attack. That can sweep Flannery with reversal. Endure also has a lot of uses. Machop is okay, and Tyrogue and Metatite are solid encounters. You can go to Granite Cave, but we are going to skip this for now. In Brawly's gym, make sure to be using your Charm Pokemon, Clamperl, Starter, and other Pokemon effectively. A couple scary Pokemon here are Tako's Vigoroth, though you can cheese it into spamming Slack Off with something faster. Lilith's Combuskin, and finally, the reason you don't want any EXP on Gyarados is because a 1 HP Gyarados with Flail can sweep Battle Girl Jocelyn. Make sure to get the Silk Scarf from one of the houses. Probably is going to be a lot of pivot. Hopefully you do have a ground type by now. Gyarados and that pivot well with each other, being mostly fighting and rock moves respectively. Gaining Intimidates, and Clamperl being Shell Armor can't get crit after those Intimidates. At some point you might have to risk a Gyarados crit and use Flail, especially on Metatite. Azumarill and Luvdisc are also both sackable here. Poliwrath is a weird one where you're going to want something like Azumarill, Grovile, or something else to take its stab moves. Stuff like Noctowl, Poison types, Charmers, Gyarados, Sunflora, Ground types, Pharaoh, and Chimecho are great here. After some Intimidates, Sunflora and Pharaoh can Growth and Rage respectively to sweep. Next, we go through Granite Cave to Steven. I still suggest delaying this encounter as you can get Nest Balls and Verdant Turf, and you might need to use this place to get Geodude. If not, Steven's room is usually the best place to get a Pokemon. The beach trainers are pretty easy, but I linked a really cool guide in the description if you need it. Here, it's recommended to go for Squirtle, who will be a very solid water type, though delaying for Good or Super Rod isn't bad. There's a Swagger move tutor in Slateport, but we are going to want to keep this for Slowbro testing later. Slateport City, Route 110, and Route 118 are the routes you're going to want to go for Volt Absorb Chinchou. In the museum, you fight 2 grunts back to back. It's okay to be 25, maybe 26 on most things here. This is another trainer you can use Flail Gyarados on. You kill Shelter, Staryu, Croconaw, and Grimer back to back. Lombre has Focus Band, and on the next trainer you kill everything up to Whelmer, who has Lax Incense, which is basically Bright Powder. Make sure to run Lepa Berry to restore Flail PP, and check your speed and your ranges with 1 HP Gyarados. On Route 110, we have another rival battle. Generally, ground types beat the lead, Fossil beats Pidgeotto, Nidorina can be kinda scary, but a water type can handle it, and the starters are going to be the biggest issue. Make sure to check your rival team's docs and the description to make sure you know what you're facing. Your Marvel City encounter is what you're going to be using to test for Volt Absorb Chinchou, and it's really nice to have electric types. The optimal way to do your Chinchou fishing is fish on Route 110 with Good Rod, then if you don't get it, fish in Slateport, then on 118. Though 118 and Slateport can be swapped depending on what your encounters are. Use an electric type move on the Chinchou to test for VA. If it is, then catch it. If not, kill it. Even if it's your last Chinchou, kill it because you're going to want a VA Lantern late. Some good stuff to pull on these routes are Tentacool, Carvana, and Mantine. On 117, you most likely want to go for Barboach. If you don't get it there, 111 is a backup. If you already have Barboach, you can go for Corphish or Illumise. Route 17 can be a little tricky if you don't have any good plans for the trainers. Make sure to make use of your Azumarill, Gyarados, Lantern, and other Pokemon, and be careful not to get too high on EXP. Burn Turf Town has some great ground types. Be careful of stuff like Rhyhorn, who can hit hard though. You also get an X's or Move Tutor for later. Watson's gym trainers can be a bit tough, especially Guitarist Kirk, Fisherman Ben, and Bug Catcher Angelo. Generally, Entine at levels 27 and 28 is fine. Finding safe answers for Loudred and Golbat, especially on Kirk, is a real pain. Stuff like Magcargo and Electric types can work for Golbat, but you're gonna have to really dig for an answer. For Bloodcatcher Angelo, you're gonna have to do a bit of pivoting with Gyarados and make sure to utilize your Lantern. Watson is a pretty scary fight with a specific playstyle needed, and here is how Volt Absorb AI works. If the AI sees you have Volt Absorb, it will not go for an Electric move, but in order to make this the case, the AI has to use an Electric move against your VA Pokemon. If it hasn't used an Electric move, or you swapped out and back in, or an ability like Intimidate or Pressure as procs, the AI will merely have a 50% chance of guessing if you're a Volt Absorb or not. Generally, you want to lead a Grass type against Jolteon with Cherry Berry to 1v1. Your VA Lantern can usually take on the Raichu, Electabuzz, and the Magnitude. Do have Gyarados and Dewgong pivoting on any move and then switching back on Electro move to heal up your Lantern. Make sure to pre-paralyze your Gyarados and Dewgong so you don't switch Lantern in on a T-Wave, or get your Gyarados winner. Something like Mantine works well too. Ampharos can be a bit tricky, though stuff like Hariyama, Grumpig, and Donphan work well here. Here are some examples of some Watson teams. After Watson, we have a long split in front of us. Leveling up to 36/37 is usually fine here, but we don't need to increase too much until we fight Red 2. Make sure to bring a low-level Pokemon with an EXP share when you can to manage your EXP. You can also evolve our Fossil encounter, though it will be at level cap, so be careful on EXP. If you pick Roval, you can delay until 53 for Leaf Blade, though you might have to evolve for something like Maxie or Flannery with X-Scissor and Rock Slide respectively. Flannery Split is where we are going to try and solidify some very useful Pokemon. Some of these include Tentacruel, Golem, Whiscash, and we will try to have at least one Dark type. 114 is a great place where you can get Tenta, Whiscash, or Geodude. 111 is a place for Geodude or Whiscash. If you get lucky with your encounters, you can delay this until after Flannery and Repulmanip at level 40 for a 30% chance for Trapinch though. Make sure to go back and get the black glasses and make your way to Route 112. Most things are decent here. You are going to be getting a few fire types, which is really good. Next are a few Magma Grunts. Be careful of Focus Band and Quick Claws, and in Fire Path, hopefully we can score a great fire type in Torkoal, Ponyta, Growlithe, and others. Also, make sure to have the Mach Bike to skip a couple trainers. Route 113 Grass has some decent Pokemon, and after some trainers, we get to Red 2. A couple things to note are you can PP stall Snorlax with a flying type as you switch between that and anything else, as it will never Earthquake your flying type. Usually, a water type with Body Slam or Tentacruel can beat the Blastoise, and Espeon is the biggest issue. Hopefully, you have a Psychic Resist or Immune. Fall Arbor Town has a great encounter such as Aeron, and now we have access to the Mover. Again, make sure you are checking the Master Sheet for Heart Skill location. Some common Heart Skills are Head Smash on Golem and Superpower and Rock Slide on Blitzskin. Don't worry too much about using Heart Skills, though you're going to want 8 or 9 for late game. Get the Dig TM, then on 114 we can go for Tenta, Whiscash, or Geodude, and now we have a big Magma Gauntlet before Tabitha and Maxim. It's really the first hard gauntlet with Focus Bands, Quick Claws, and Bright Powder, so planning and EXP management is key. Usually level 38 or 39 is okay here, but be careful and bring an EXP dump when you can. Grunts 5 and 9 are especially difficult, which the Focus Band Smeargle being hard to play around. Most people just throw Golem at it. Delay Meteor Falls for Milotic later, and make your way to Mount Chimney, where there are 2 tough grunts here. Don't be afraid to be level 40 on a few things here. On Grunt 2 and trainers with Explosion Mons, remember if you bait the Explosion Mon out last, it can't explode. Tabitha can be a tough fight, try to bait out the Weezing last. On Electric type or something else can beat the Dodrio, Whiscash or Lantern can beat the Manectric, and Aggron can be beaten by another ground type or Whiscash. Flygon is tight matchup base, with something like Breloom or Dewgong being good counters. Maxie is next, and a pretty tough fight. Golem, Whiscash, or similar Pokemon are good leads. You are going to have to find an Alakazam answer. Stuff like Battle Armor Crawdaunt or Sceptile, but you might have to YOLO something like Megahorn Rapidash. Tentacruel is most likely your Houndoom answer. You might have to Heart Scale Muddy Water if you are slower or at Bad Spit F. Blaziken also works here. Claydol can be tricky, Gyarados is usually the most common counter, and Crobat has some decent coverage. Most people use Metcargo, but you can also use an electric type like Intimidating Manectric. Hopefully on the Dusclops you can tag team with Golem and some other bulky Pokemon. Get the Meteorite and head down to Fall Arbor with getting an encounter on Jagged Pass, and make sure you have the Acrobite to heal in between trainers. Get another fire type in Lava Ridge, the Charcoal, and the Why Not Egg where we'll be hatching here to not interfere with any other encounter locations. Now it's time for the dreaded Flannery Gym. A big thing here is the weather is always sunny, so fire types are going to hurt, but your own fire types are going to have a lot of value. With the sunny weather, there is a weird AI quirk with Solar Beam. Basically, if Solar Beam is the second highest damaging move, there is a 50% chance for the AI to just click Solar Beam. Also, if Solar Beam is the highest damage, there is a 50% chance for the AI to click its second highest damaging move. This all goes away, however, if you resist Grass or the AI sees a kill on you, so pre-damaging and using stuff like Tentacruel and Gyarados are great. You're also going to be forced to push your EXP to the limit, so be careful of over-leveling your team for Flanders. There is a back-to-back you have to fight, and the last trainer, Expert Keegan, is especially tough with a Chlorophyll, Victreebel, Octillery, and Houndour. Victreebel is really tough, with few encounters being Battle Armor Torkoal, your own Victreebel, and stuff that takes neutral to its stabs. Good luck on that fight. But something you might need even better luck on is Flannery herself. Most likely you're going to have to risk crits, ranges, and sacrifice some Pokemon. Generally, one of your fire types can be Ninetales, a rock coverage Pokemon can be Charizard, something like Gardevoir or fast flying / psychic types can be Blaziken, Cargo can be Arcanine, and Typhlosion and Castform are hard hitters that you will need bulky or fast Pokemon for. Some good Pokemon for this fight are Gardevoir, Cargo, Camerupt, Blaziken, Gyarados, Tentacruel, Mantine, fire types, Rapidash, Fearow, Battle Armor Donphan, Hariyama, and Arcanine. You got a Primate from earlier, you can Reversal Ninetales, Rock Slide Charizard, Reversal Blaziken, find something to beat Arcanine, sacrifice, then go back to Primate to kill Typhlosion and Castform. Best of luck on Flannery, guys. After that, we can get Toxic and Flannery Path, get Route 11 if we delayed, and we have access to Bagon, though you don't need it yet. Also, keep in mind for a Lotad encounter way later after the Center Gym, you're going to need a level 51 Pokemon to repel Manip for Lotad, so make sure we have one thing that's low enough level. We go straight to Norman. The most common path is Crit Room, Stall Room, Sleep Room. Norman is a dull battle that will always skill swap the Slacking turn 1, and the Snorlax can easily be PB stalled as long as you don't attack it. General strategy for this fight is you can easily bait normal fighting ground moves into your pivots and get intimidates, and hard hitters, Head Smash or Superpower do well here. Once you get the Snorlax in, you can focus down one slot. Pokemon with Battle Armor, Rock or Steel type, and Intimidators do well here. Keep in mind the Espeon will always skill swap the Slacking turn 1 and will get the Truant ability that will proc the second turn, so you basically have 2 turns right off the bat where Espeon does nothing. After Norman, the level cap jumps to 55. Getting everything to 51/52 is safe. We also get Surf, but the only encounter we should be getting right now is Horsey on Route 134, which evolves at level 55 to Kingdra, so we can evolve that now. We also have new Mauville open to us, but it's suggested to delay until we get Ultra Balls and Poultry. We can now get our Salamence in Mirage Tower, make sure we repel to the top, bring a T-Waver or something like Super Fang. Speed and attack matter a lot on Salamence. Route 119 is where we are going next. There are a few trainers to beat, and ideally we are going to delay this encounter for Castform. It's pretty good for weather splits and normal type for the Elite Four if you need it, though most likely you're going to have something better. Going for another encounter here isn't a bad idea though, and make sure you have the Acrobite. Which brings us to Weather Institute. And if you pick Sceptile, you're in luck, because Overgrow, Leaf Blade, and Magical Leaf can sweep a lot of Pokemon here. Again, utilize the low advantage here, because after Weather Institute, there are only about 10 trainers before Winona. Your guaranteed encounters like Tentacruel and Kingdra also do well. Remember, there is a rival fight after Weather Institute. You can also change your system time to get rid of or have rain. In Fortree City, we get a Flying Type, and we can go to Route 120. The grass here is pretty good. Make sure to talk to Steven to get the Silph Scope, and we can now surf on 120 to Scorch Slab and get another fire type. Though some people do delay for another chance at Slowpoke, and we get about 5 50-50 chances for it. And remember, you have a guaranteed Muk encounter later on. Remember to go back and get the new Mauville encounter if you haven't done so already. Winona's gym trainers can be pretty tough, especially Eduardo and Sora. There most likely will be some risk on the Bright Powder Pokemon. Stuff like Salamence, Donphan, Fire types, Lantern, Tentacruel, Kingdra, Rock, and Steel types do well. Winona herself is pretty fun. She has the legendary trio and some other good Pokemon. There is, however, a weird AI quirk where it gives priority to Earthquake when its teammate is a Flying type. With this, Aerodactyl will always have a chance to Earthquake if it doesn't see you kill. The general strategy people use is to lead a Head Smasher, most likely Golem in one slot, and bait a move from at least the Zapdos with the other Pokemon. And what you switch in is crucial for what you bait. A lot of people lead Golem in something like Parasect, Shiftry, or Breloom, or even Mence to bait a move from Zapdos. And if you're ×4 weak to flying, you can also bait Aerodactyl HP flying. Big thing about Winona is baiting in the right Pokemon and setting up kills. If you have a fast Mence, you can kill something like Flygon or Crobat and bait an Articuno or Moltres and kill them with a rock move mid-turn. Mence is a good bait for HP Ice for Zapdos, and Ice Shards such as Ice Beam from Articuno. Some good Pokemon for this fight are Golem,
What's my
Salamence,
label, bro? What
Donphan,
the fuck?
Aggron, Steelix, Cloyster, Torkoal, Kabutops, Amistar, and even some Blastoise or Dugong can be used. Pokemon to bait moves like Parasect or Breloom, and usually you want a Fire type to kill Articuno. There truly are a lot of ways you can play this fight. Quick side note, the best Pokemon for this might just be Battle Armor for Alligator with Ancient Power. Words cannot express how good for Alligator is in this game. Here are some examples of Winona teams. Next, we have the longest and hardest split of the game. Mount Pyre, Magma Hideout, Aqua Hideout, Fishing Simulator, and Tate and Liza. We are still going to be able to level up to 63, 64, or maybe even 65 though, because everything is going to get to 66, 67, or 68 by the time we get to Magma Hideout anyways. But right now it's important to know what you can and can't sack or overlevel, so we will be needing to protect a number of Pokemon. We make our way down Route 120. This NPC gives us healing pinch berries, but these won't be useful until one of our Pokemon gets above 240 max HP, as citrus berries heal 30 HP points already, and pinch berries heal 1/8 of your HP, so if you're above 240 HP points, the value goes above 30 HP restored. Be careful of Cool Trainer Jerome and Kago Swarm Scizor. When you get to this ledge, make sure to bring a fly Pokemon. Route 122 has some okay Pokemon in the grass, with Execute and Weavile being the best. Lilycove City is home of another rival fight that could be underrated. Be careful of the lead Miltank and the Nidoqueen. Now we have access to Lilycove Department Store and a number of TMs. Lilycove has some good encounters. Sharpedo Crawdaunt with Old Rod is a good option. Cloyster from Super Rod being pretty good too, but you can also roll for Gramble in the grass being a good normal type. My suggestion is to delay this encounter until there is a situation where a Water Dark type or Cloyster would help you, or you can high roll for a normal type because for the Elite Four you're most likely going to want a good normal type. But we will be getting more into the E4 teams later. The Safari Zone is really weird. Inside it there are Pokeblock boxes that can influence the nature on the Pokemon you get. There are a lot of good areas here, with Area 3 being great if you have the Evolution dupe, Area 4 helping you the most for Magma Hideout, and Areas 1 and 2 being good locations as well. What you need to do is go to the Pokemon Contest Hall, throw in a Pechaberry if you want plus speed nature on your encounter, which is probably the one you want, Orange/Chesto if you want plus special attack, Cherry/Shalepa if you want plus attack. Know which one you want, but also make 2 other Pokeblocks. These will be important for making sure your Safari Zone encounter does not flee. But also make multiple of each color Pokeblock, 2 or 3 of each color. And then follow these steps to have an easy capture on your Safari Zone encounter. Route 122 is where you will get Ghastly after Aqua Hideout, but we can get our Mount Pyre encounter. Getting Shuppet, Ghastly, or Mr. Beast here is amazing for Magma Hideout and Tate and Liza. Now it's time to talk about Risky AI, which you will see here, but also a ton in Magma Hideout. Basically, various trainers in the game have little numbers next to them, meaning their AI behavior is altered. Mount Pyre is pretty easy with a big level advantage, but be careful of the 3 back-to-back trainers, and eventually get to map 1. With Risky AI, the Whaler will have a 50% chance to boom every turn. It's also very bulky. A common strategy is to use Bounce with Gyarados and try to go up as it booms. If it doesn't, you only die to boom crit, and you get a kill on the Machamp that comes in next. Another great strategy is if you still have a Zoomro, you can spam Charm until the Whaler booms, and if it crits, you lose a Zoomro, which isn't that bad. Make sure to play around the True and Slacking with something like Fly Salamence. Gyarados and Dragonite are usually beaten by something like Donphan or Battle Armor Kabutops and Omastar, and Executor is a big threat, and sometimes you might need to risk your Salamence on it. Now we face the ultimate test, Magma Hideout. Risky AI, Right Powders, Quick Claws, Focus Bands, Sunny Weather, 16 trainers, and a deadly Maxi 2 fight. Many Pokemon here will die, and many dreams will be crushed. But to be prepared, we need to know what can die and what can't. Basically, you need good Pokemon for Rain Splits, Elite Four, and Tantalizer. Almost all your fire types besides Blaziken can most likely die, ground types are sackable, a lot of grass types are sackable, and there are various cases of other sackable Pokemon. Some great Pokemon for Hideout are fast fire types, Whiscash, ground types like Donphan, Chlorophyll grass types, Salamence, Kingdra, Tentacruel, Camerupt, and Torkoal. But really, you're going to be using a wide variety of encounters and sacks. The hardest trainers include numbers 4, 6, 7, 9, and Courtney. If you don't have a Ghost type or Aggron, Choice Band Explosion and trainers with Explosion Pokemon in general become a lot scarier. Also, don't be afraid to push your levels to 67 at the start and by the end, 68, 69, and some 70s. Maxi 2 is the single hardest trainer in the game. The general strat is to lead a superpower user or Sceptile to kill Tyranitar, Tentacruel for Flygon if you're fast, Salamence for Executor, Maxi's Arcanine and Entei being especially tricky. Entei has a really good moveset and crazy special attack. Common quote-unquote counters include Camerupt, Torkoal, and Flygon, but you're gonna have to get creative with this fight. Pokemon such as Gardevoir, Tentacruel, Illumise, Flygon, Salamence, and Torkoal are some of the best Pokemon for Maxi 2. It's good to team build for this fight in particular first to make sure your Maxi 2 team doesn't die during the grunts. And here are some Maxi 2 teams. EXP will be a little tight here as we still got Aqua Hideout and Tantalizer to do. Aqua Hideout has scary Pokemon and items, but there isn't perma weather here, so it's more manageable. Stuff like Lantern, Kingdra, Tentacruel, Salamence, and Sceptile are few of the Pokemon that are good here. We eventually get to Mat 2 that has risky AI, meaning Explosion from the Glalie lead is more likely. Hopefully you still have a fast fire type to kill this. A big issue here is the Kingdra. There really isn't much that can take a stab Draco and hit it hard. The Tauros, however, is pretty easy to bait a Choice Band and move, and the Dragonite and Wailord have some pretty easy counters. One unique strat is baiting in Tauros early, PB stalling it, and then sweeping with some floor. After a pretty tough boat double battle and getting Super Rod and Moss Teeth, we get to what we call the Fishing Simulator. Here are some Pokemon you're going to need. First is Slowbro. You're going to test Shell Armor by using Confuse Ray or the move Swagger. The tutor for that is in Slaveboard. If the Slowbro or Slowpoke you get is Confused, catch it. If not, run away and try another route. Route 130, Moss Deep City, Route 126, Route 127, and Shoal Cave are all options. The optimal place to start varies. You're going to also want a Relic. There are multiple routes you can do this. If you can afford it, killing some until you get Switzerland is good for the Elite Four, but not needed if it messes with your encounters. After you get Relicanth, you are guaranteed a Quillfish on 105, a very important Pokemon. Once you have Quillfish and Tenta, you are guaranteed Ghastly on Route 122, an important Pokemon for Tantalizer. You're also going to want a Wilmer. The best place to get this is on Route 108 as long as you have a Sharpedo Dude. You are also going to want a Mischievous. The only place to almost guarantee it is on Route 131, though there is a 1% Altaria that can mess you up. On Route 126, as long as you don't need to use it for Slowpoke, you can get a Poliwrath or Feraligatr, two great Pokemon. Route 125 is most likely going to be a Celio. Route 126 is most likely a Corsola or Mantine depending on what dupe you need. Route 132 and 133 are places to get Staryu, a Pokemon you definitely are going to want. You are also going to want to get an Armaldo for Tantalizer's Gym. You can get this on 128 or 129. If you haven't got a VA Lantern, you are also going to want to get one of those. Shoal Cave can be used for Shelter, Glalie, or another Slowpoke. And other than that, try to maximize the amount of diverse water types you have. You're going to want a lot of Swiss Swim Pokemon, and high special attack Swiss Swim water type with Dive for Archie later. And stuff like Mantine, Poliwrath, Credilli, and Omastar and Kabutops are good pickups. Keep in mind you're also going to get Kabutops, Omastar, Morelli, or Credilli in Underwater, which is its own Met location after Tantalizer while using Dive. Ideally, we still have Meteor Falls delayed from Milotic after we get Waterfall, but if we have an E4 team build that doesn't need Milo, we can use this encounter too. This is the part of the game where we want to start looking at what we need for the Elite Four. We will still be getting Ludicolo Ludicolo, and Dusclops, but hopefully we have Immense, Slowbro, Rally, and a normal type as options. We still have a couple of routes where we can get a good normal type too. These fishing encounters vary based on what encounters you already have and what you need to go for, so playing this out is key. I'll have a documented link to the description that only has these fishing routes, but what you are going to absolutely need are Shell Armor Slowbro, Ghastly, Relicanth, Staryu, Bullfish, and Whalmer. And hopefully you'll be able to pick up another explosion Pokemon, though Gengar and your guaranteed Muck later is sufficient. Oh boy, now it's time for the Moss Deep Gym. The trainers here are tough. They are all double battles with a lot of psychic types and interesting gimmicks. The second trainer can be tough, especially the Jinx, Slowbro, and Exeggutor side. The third trainer you can abuse with skill swap AI as we saw with Norman, and the fifth one has a weird Perish Song Shadow Tag gimmick, but can be played around with a skill swap user, which is most likely going to be Mischievous as a great option for Tangela. The last trainer can be pretty tough, but the most consistent strat is to Earthquake with something like Golem, Beta Brick Break into a Ghost type, and catch the Metagross as it switches in after Electrode explodes. It can get tricky when Exploding Lax comes in and the Gengar can potentially Shadow Ball your Ghost type, but baiting Boom and a Shadow Ball into something like Aggron or another Pokemon can work. Tame Liza is a very scary fight on paper, but can be manageable with the right stuff. The most consistent strategy is to lead with an exploding Gengar. You can move tutor Explosion and Pacific-Lock, and after you explode, you can go to Mischievous as Medicham comes in. Skill swap the Medicham to get huge power and start killing things with Shadow Ball while you pivot with the other side. Something like Gyarados' Steelix works well with that pivot. There is a Jirachi and a Starmie in the back that can be pretty scary as well. That's just one simplified strat for the fight. You can also use 2 exploding Pokemon. Safe strats revolve around having at least 1 exploding Pokemon. Trying to make a strat without explosion is very, very tough. Here are some examples of Tame Liza teams. After the gym, the level cap goes to 77, and we go to the Moss Deep Space Center. There's a back-to-back-to-back run fight that stuff like Tenta, Magcargo, and Donphan are good for. Then we eventually get to a tag battle with Steven. Unfortunately, Steven leads with a -1 attack Aerodactyl, so he won't help much. The main strat for this fight, and one of the only strats, is to lead Starmie, Psychic the Gengar, Hydro Pump the Charizard, and Ice Beam the Salamence, with having Slowbro and something like a Wailord in the back. Something like Feraligatr or Milotic also work well here. Now we can get our underwater encounter and head to Sootopolis City. This is where our intentionally underleveled Pokemon at level 51 comes in. So we can Repel Manip to guarantee a Lotad, and we do this to guarantee we get Fake Out before evolving into Ludicolo. Next is C4 Cavern. In Room 7, with Tentacruel and Mantine dupes, you can get a Muck, which is definitely something you want unless you already have an Archiboomer. Now this is the part of the game where you're going to be using a lot of the same Pokemon. Slowbro, Ludicolo, Tentacruel, Wailord, Kingdra, and Swisswing Pokemon are great. One good thing about rainy weather is that it benefits the player significantly more than the sun. So with a level advantage and using the right Pokemon, these trainers aren't too bad. Be careful of Grunt Force slacking, however, as it's claimed many lives. Be careful of Shelly, who has a staldy Ludicolo and a very scary Vaporeon. Then we get to Archie. The main strat for this fight is to bait moves with Swift Swim Dive Pokemon and explode with something like Muck. You can intentionally underlevel your Muck so Suicune doesn't die and gets killed by dive that happens next turn. Something like Swift Swim Relicanth can kill Dragonite, and Metagross usually gets left on the field as it loves to spam Protect. You can also do a lot of pivoting with this fight, for example Ludicolo and Relicanth on Quillfish. Next we can go to Sootopolis City and Cave of Origin is open. You're going to want to prepare for the Duskull encounter as it has Teleport. Wobbuffet with Shadow Tag is great. Stuff like Mean Look, Crobat, or Clamp Pokemon can also be used. It does get scary at the Duskull is high level, but this encounter matters a lot. Sootopolis Gym is another place where you're going to be using a lot of the Pokemon you've been using for the rain splits. Slowbro, Ludicolo, Wailord, Tentacruel, Via Lantern, Sceptile, and the usual stuff. Expert Onika can be especially hard with Swisswing Vaporeon. The gym technically has 2 gym leaders. First one is a single battle with Lawless. A strat is to lead Slowbro and spam Slack Off as the Kingdra dies to its own Draco Meteor recoil. The Swampert can be tricky, Ludicolo sometimes playing into Double Yawn or Ancient Power. Milotic is commonly beaten by Wailord. 3 trainers can also be tough with high level Pokemon, but after a long Victory Road section, we finally make it to the Elite Four. When planning for your Elite Four, immediately put Slowbro and Dusclops on your team. Ludicolo is For years, I've built my reputation on attempting and conquering the hardest Nuzlocke challenges. But if I'm being honest, I've strayed from that path. 2 years ago, I dove headfirst into Pokemon Run and Bun, widely regarded as the hardest Pokemon ROM hack of all time, soon after its release in March of 2023. Drawn in by its complex custom AI system that pushes players to their absolute limits, I found myself constantly on my heels guessing what the AI would do next, turning each attempt into a bloodbath with no real shot at victory. So instead of continuing to ram into the wall, I turned back, leaving Run and Bun behind. The game was just too much for me, but I can't run away forever. With its final updates and comprehensive AI documentation now complete, there are no more excuses. I will beat this game, no matter what it takes. The path is merciless. The mistakes are punishing. But our will is stronger. And what this guy doesn't know right now is that he will eventually make history in this game. But we all have to start somewhere. Welcome to the start of my Pokemon Run and Bun hardcore Nuzlocke journey. Now, one nice thing about Run and Bun is that all 3 starters are distinct and impactful in their roles. There is no clear best pick, so I go with Turtwig as I believe this choice provides the best chance to advance past early game. Though fishing up a Finneon in Little Root doesn't exactly boost my confidence. This mod does practically nothing, but I'm committed to getting as far as I can on this attempt no matter what, so welcome to the team, I guess. Our other early game pickups aren't too much better. We get Zigzagoon on Route 101, Ponyta in Odell Town, Bounsweet on Route 103, and Rookidee on 104. It's a solid variety of types, but overall I'd call this a below average starting group. The only real threat on our way to Petalburg is this Metronome Spinda, but thankfully it behaves. Route 104's grass has a decent bug fire type in Sizzlipede for us, and I could grab a new mon in the city, but I instead opt to delay the encounter in hopes of snagging a Primarina later, who is one of the best Pokemon in the game and an incredible Elite Four pick. The first boss fight with an Aqua Grunt in front of Petalburg Woods features a scary Carvana. Its high attack and rough skin can ruin runs early, but Turtwig easily absorbs through it while Rookidee handles the rest. This lets us sail to Duper Town where we find 4 new encounters: Timber, Horsey, Spheal, and Tortuga. And for Horsey, we got the rare Dragon Scale, which means we get Kingdra for Brawly, which is absolutely massive. And this run might just be blessed. Now, did a random Weasel on the beach almost send me packing? Maybe, but we scrape by and slide into Slateport in one piece, only to grab a Remoraid. But what if I told you this was actually one of the best Pokemon in the game? Well, then I'd be lying through my teeth. Anyway, Slateport is the site of the second boss fight in the game, a back-to-back with a pair of Aqua Grunts in the museum. The lead Murkrow is no match for Spheal, but Tortuga swims in holding a Rindo Berry, meaning it could get multiple Ancient Powers off. Of course it gets the Omni boost, but a Grotle ends the 1v1 with decent amount of HP left. Scrump is the last Pokemon for this first grunt, and this is where things get a bit tricky if you're not prepared. Thankfully for my plan, it goes for Toxic, allowing me to KO and move on to the second grunt. This Grunt's Marini is our toughest foe yet. Spheal dodges a crit to chip with a Hidden Power second to start, and Ponyta tags in to finish it off. But my team is in rough shape for Frillish.
Another play. Hell yeah, okay, no confuse. Best of luck! It's good damage. Don't crit me. Dude, stop! Ah! I swear to God, if I can hit these 3 times in a goddamn row. Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine, actually. I think we're good. Okay.
Afterwards, we send in Tortuga to smack down Rillaky twice and finish with the final Aqua Jet. With that, the level cap increases to 21 and we can grab our Route 111 counter.
You! Come on, dude.
No disrespect to Shinx, but the lack of static hurts my next encounter in Granite Cave. Togedemaru is one of the best Pokemon in the game, and static would have gone a long way for us getting that, but without static, I decided to forego my chances at Togedemaru entirely in hopes of a different encounter in Steven's room.
Oh! Yeah! Okay!
Our hopes for a win over Brawly has just skyrocketed, and my confidence steadily increases as I blast through the gym trainers. My box may not be the greatest, but I am fully locked in on making it all the way. But don't get it twisted. This game thrives on instilling an illusion of hope, presenting friendly faces that turn frightful as you approach, providing a path just to pull the rug out from under you. As soon as you start to feel comfortable in Run and Bun, you have already lost. Even reading this script right now makes me sick to my stomach as we get ready to fight Brawly, the epitome of Run and Bun's ruthless design philosophy. Winning this fight deathless requires not only optimal play, but a lot of luck. With this being my first attempt, it's not going to be easy. Brawly starts with his Cub Fu, who is holding an Aya Papa Berry to restore some HP once it drops low. But Corvus Fire Pluck says, "Thank you very much," and ends the 1v1 with 2/3 of its health remaining. Lopunny comes in looking for some retaliation against my bird, but my Sea Turtle takes the boosted move like a champ. With a quick Aqua Jet to proc Lopunny's eject button, Brawly sends out his Poliwrath, who is hungry for a hidden power grass. I cooked up a beautiful plan to bait Superpower to lower the Poliwrath's defense smoothly and kill. There's one problem with that. I actually don't have anything that baits Superpower, so...
Don't breathe, baby! Come on! Come on! Yes! Yes!
Never in doubt, really, we're talking about a supercontinent that's been holding it down for hundreds of millions of years without showing any cracks. Another quick freeze dodge and... Officially steering, I let Luxio take the wheel. Lyra dodges 2 crits and knocks out the spiral-bellied water type, but not without losing nearly half of her health. Lopunny comes out again looking to capitalize on the opportunity to knock out Sinnoh's early game electric type, but I'm not looking to lose Luxio. I swap in Tortuga to absorb another retaliate, but I could use a bit more than just defense from Leaky here.
Come on, come on, come on. Okay? Keep going, keep going. Come on! Oh! 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 Oh my god! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!
Tortuga has come to play. Riding this insane wave of momentum, I easily KO Combuskin by utilizing a simple pivot through Gligar, a Thunder Punch to get Kingdra in. And Gligar gets back in on the action by soloing him on top with a couple of aerial aces. We are not out of the woods yet. Luxio was our original Scraggy answer, but Lyra taking damage earlier makes this a bit awkward. Gligar is doing well, so I leave her in to get off an aerial ace as she takes a feint attack in return. It's not looking great, but Luxio might have a chance to kill with a Covet. Can Lyra get it done?
Thought he had it for a second, and... Alright, rest in peace. Alright.
Kingdra finishes it off, and while I would have loved to win that one deathless, overcoming the tragic Grotto Freeze is something to be proud of. We definitely don't get out of Brawly's gym without Luxio's clutch crit dodges, so shout out Lyra and rest easy. As a reward for our victory, we snag a Bellsprout from Petalburg Woods and proceed to steamroll the next batch of trainers. This is until we reach twins Gina and Mia on the bridge before Rustboro City, who serves us our first tough dull battle. They have a tough combination of mons to deal with, including hard hitters, redirectors, and helping hand users. My newly caught Plant and Centiskorch chip down the leads with Acid and Flame Wheel respectively, clearing out the way to take out Clefairy and the Den simultaneously. An aberrant Togedemaru duo drops in, so after Linoon destroys them, we dash into the domain of the Devon Corporation. We are able to snag a Muna, and then we fish on Route 115, which delivers us a crab that leaves me in despair. My box is looking rough for Roxanne, a fight that leaves little room for error. I might not have the horses to overcome her powerful team, but maybe I spoke too soon. Run and Bun gives you 10 rare candies throughout the game. These can be used to give you one level over the level cap, and it just so happens that this Krabby evolves to Kingler at level 26. So with him as the kingpin of my plan, what could go wrong? Alright, Alright, so new plan. Kingler will just have to live this ancient power from Lunatone. Pretty easy. To start the battle, Gligar calls checkmate on Bisharp in an opening 1v1 and draws out Auroras. And guys, I have found a hidden gem, an unlikely hero. I didn't realize it when I caught this guy back in Little Root, but he is certainly, unquestionably, without a doubt, the only Pokemon in my box I'm willing to intentionally sack.
I don't care about you at all. You could have been a Masquerain. You could have been you could have been useful. You could have done anything. But you have done nothing. You have done absolutely nothing for me. So I do not care that you're dying. Rest in piss.
Kingler in for free, fast brick break kill, and now Lunatone. As my Aqua Jet does over 50%, Lunatone raises its attack with the weakness policy. Ancient Power will now kill nearly half of the time, so without further ado, the great Ancient Power range dodge of 2025.
Freestyle.
Yes, hit the range, hit the range, hit the range, hit the range.
Suksesnya ninja freestyle bang. Nggak harus ngikutin combo.
It's too easy, baby.
It's really just that easy, and we're just gonna ignore the fact I thought that this policy boosted you by only one stage. I was literally just dead, and it was not a range, so call me a fraud all you want, because I definitely deserve it. But we are steamrolling right now. I mean, look at Serena destroying Caracosta even with its Rindoberry. And look at me, smartly pivoting through Kingdra to bait 1,000 arrows into Musharna.
How many times do you get to see? Wait, what?
So yeah, there's a weird AI quirk with Skitter Smack, but I steer out of the trouble here using some yawn strats and dodging a crit on basically every turn, and I cap off the most fraudulent Roxanne of all time with a Kingler versus Solrock 1v1 to claim the second batch. As you can tell, there's a big learning curve to this game that I am starting to understand. And that was pretty much deathless, considering the only Pokemon I lost was Lumineon, after all. Like, who even cares about Lumineon? Carrying on our merry way, our next three encounters are some big-time pickups. Teddiursa and Resturf Tunnel will evolve into the beast that is Ursaluna in the late game. Shroomish in Verdanturf is always a great encounter, and I name him David after my buddy who likes mushrooms. And last but not least is Nibbler the Joltik.
Oh, hell yeah!
Not only is Galvantula a great Pokemon, this one also has great IVs and a timid nature thanks to Musharna's Synchronize. Speaking of fast electrics, Route 117 is home to Runabun's infamous Lightning Rod double battle. Senior and Junior, Anna and Meg, have built a disgusting double squad led by an Amalga who only knows Discharge and a trio of Pokemon with abilities that proc upon being hit with an electric move. You could try to eliminate Amalga from the field as soon as possible, but I think the better idea is to go after everyone else first to set up a 2v1 against a Pokemon with only one move. I execute the game plan to perfection, striking down Seeking, Lantern, and Marowak before any of them can wreak havoc on my team. But this endgame 2v1 is far from free. While Gligar chills on the left side once I switch her in for Kingdra, I'm constantly risking crit and paralysis on the right side. Thankfully, Breloom dodges both, meaning he fires a massive headbutt that brings the flying squirrel down to yellow HP. I aerial ace with Sally on the next turn as Musharna switches in and dodges crit, but I'm down to my last switch in option in Serena. Can she hold?
Come on, please! Yes! Yes! Oh my gosh, oh my god. Is that it? Oh, it's too easy.
And just like that, the path to Mauville is clear, meaning we will reach Hoenn's Electric City with just 2 deaths, one of those being the useless Lumineon. Shell is an added Runabun boss, who was notorious for being one of the most consistent white points in the game, mostly because of how inconsistent her fight can be. Lapras might sing, but it also...
Oke guys, pagi ini itu aja dah. Sama nampaknya sekali. Gua Gua harus ke rumah sakit. Oke, see you nanti malam guys. Aku mau ke rumah sakit dulu.